Chapter 17, Damascus is Forsaken. After concluding his timeline in chapter 14, Isaiah continues now to circle back to give greater detail to his prophecies. Here in chapter 17, he adds more information to the prophecies he delivered in chapters 7 through 9. Damascus was the capital of Syria, and Aroer was apparently an area east of Damascus. Both of these lands were allied with Ephraim against Assyria. So there's a lot of place names here, but basically these areas would all soon be sacked by the Assyrian army. Syria was a mostly rural area populated by people kindred to the Jews. It was included in the promised land given to Abraham. It was where Isaac and Jacob found their wives. This entire area was later laid waste by the Assyrian army, and tens of thousands of men were killed, and hundreds of thousands of women and children were taken into captivity. Clearly, Jacob, or the house of Israel, was made thin at this time, meaning its population was vastly reduced. It's important to note, though, that some of the survivors of the 10 tribes eventually repented. An interesting passage in the Apocrypha says that a remnant of one of these tribes not only repented, but was then led by the Most High into a country where never mankind dwelt. It seems likely that these people were led into the north countries. And I might add that the Lord declared that many things in the Apocrypha are true, and it is mostly translated correctly. That's from the Doctrine and Covenants, section 91, verse 1. But for our purposes here, it's only important to understand that Isaiah prophesied that this invasion, both then and in the latter days, will cause some survivors to cease their idolatrous practices and repent. But others, like the Moabites in the previous chapter, will not repent. And as a result, their efforts to feed and protect themselves are in vain. Isaiah explains this through the metaphor of planting and harvesting. He says that though their seeds may grow and sprout blossoms in the very morning in which they were planted, no harvest will ever come. Quote, "Yet shall the harvest vanish in a day of diseases and incurable pain." End of quote. Isaiah's vision then extends to all nations. Woe to the multitude of many people, which make a noise like the noise of the seas, and to the rushing of nations that make a rushing like the rushing of mighty waters. The whole world will be in commotion. The victims of the Assyrian invasion all around the world will scream like a woman in the pangs of labor. The rushing of mighty waters is a metaphor for the chaos of the world, chaos that will cause people's hearts to fail them. This means that the terror will be so intense that not only will their courage fail them, but their very hearts will shut down. But as Isaiah often reminds us, the righteous remnant of covenant Israel will be protected. Nation may collide with nation like the rushing of many waters, but God will rebuke them. The wicked invaders may threaten the righteous remnant in the evening, but by morning the enemy will be gone. As in the days of Hezekiah, when 185,000 enemy warriors died in their sleep, marvelous miracles in the last days will protect the righteous remnant of covenant Israel. So, who do the people here in chapter 17 represent in our day? Who's Damascus? Isaiah doesn't give us enough information to make a direct comparison, but it's sufficient to know that it will include covenant people who ignore the Lord's servant, the prophet. Also, we know that all of this will be repeated in the last days, only on a worldwide basis. We must remember too, however, that the righteous remnant following the Lord's prophet will be saved and will be brought to Zion, where they will be invited into the Lord's presence. But in the days to come, many in latter-day Aroer and in latter-day Ephraim and Syria shall be made thin, again meaning their populations will be greatly reduced. The burden of Damascus will indeed be terrible to bear. If you'd like to learn more about Isaiah's prophecies for our day, you might check out the book, The Words of Isaiah. I'm Curtis Taylor with The Words of Isaiah.